Am I the asshole for not wanting my disabled sister at my wedding? The title sounds awful, but please listen all the way till the end. My 22 female sister, Anna, 21, is quote unquote special needs. She has severe autism, and while she is verbal, most of her communication is physical, like sign language, due to her social discomfort. She does speak around family, though, and has pretty bad cognitive skills. She can't comprehend boundaries and lives with our parents so they can best watch her. I am getting married in 3 months. We planned a simple wedding and reception at my fiance's, Michael's parents' barn and farm. Since it's all gonna be DIY and we aren't planning anything too expensive, we can do things pretty quickly since flowers, food, and decor will be provided by his family. I sent out invites last week and I asked that Anna not come. I told my parents I understood that would mean they may not show up, but it was just a heads up. Why no Anna? She has an issue with touching Michael and trying to kiss him. At times when we were at my parents' house, Anna would try and grab Michael's hands, try to lean in to kiss him, or would have really bad shutdowns if she wasn't allowed to be directly next to him. We've tried speaking to her, but there's only so much we can do when she doesn't really understand. I told my parents I just want one day for Michael to be my partner and not Anna's comfort person. They called me selfish and asked how I expected them to agree to something like this. They told me Anna is disabled and may never experience a wedding of her own. And while I have Michael for probably the rest of our lives, she'll have no one, and that Michael and I can be a little more understanding to the reality of her life. I do feel like a total ass, and what they're saying has really gotten to me, and I'm starting to question my decision. So, am I the asshole? Update. My parents called me letting me know I'll be coming and that it's best I don't bring Michael around anymore since I've quote unquote chosen some man over my sister. They told me that Anna wanting to kiss Michael and hug him is normal for a woman her age and that she doesn't understand what her feelings mean. I suggested they try to redirect her during the wedding, but they said Michael is going to be family to her and he needs to, quote unquote, get over it. I suggested they watch the wedding via web, and they said that's not fair and that they deserve to see things in person. I asked if I could pay for someone with proper credentials to watch her that day while they attended, and they asked what I would do when they died if I'd pawn her off every time. I dropped the unfortunate truth bomb that I don't want to put any more of my life aside for Anna anymore. I did it up until I turned 18, and that Anna is not my life's responsibility and I won't be her keeper. I assured them I'd pay for her care, but if she's okay doing this to Michael, then I worry for if I do ever choose to have children and what she would do to them. They said I was sick for suggesting she'd do anything to my future children and hung up on me. They sent a lengthy text telling me not to contact them until I could, quote unquote, do the right thing. So that's where we are right now. Am I the asshole for telling my neighbor that her husband isn't the catch she thinks he is? So I, 28 female, recently attended a neighborhood barbecue where this mommy influencer started asking me about my love life in front of other neighbors. Now this woman is 35. She is a decade younger than her husband. When I told her that I wasn't interested in getting married or into a committed relationship, she started making comments saying that she was worried I would end up a bitter old cat lady. She insinuated that being easy is what's keeping me from finding a life partner, and that if I saw a therapist and sorted out my issues, I would also end up with a catch like her husband. I got really angry and pretty much humiliated her and her husband in front of the other neighbors, saying that her husband isn't much of a catch since he pretty much cheated on his first wife and abandoned his kids from his first marriage, and that their picture-perfect Instagram family isn't going to fool me. She left the barbecue crying. Was I the asshole? Am I the asshole for refusing to stop calling my daughter my love? Some background. My 28 female, older sister, 33 female, has a habit of making everything about her, has done our whole lives. We are 2 of 4 siblings, another sister and a brother. For example, my wedding 4 years ago, she had a massive fight with significant other and then announced a pregnancy. 2 days later, told us it was a false alarm and she was just late. When I announced my pregnancy, she announced she had broken up with her significant other. Less than a week after I gave birth to my daughter, she announced that she was engaged to a different guy that she has since broken up with as well. She has also done similar with other family members, including her own children. She has 3 children from 2 different dads and has been engaged and broken up with 3 different guys in the last year. We had a family video chat to catch up so everyone could see my daughter, who's 4 months old. No one has a great deal of face-to-face contact due to restrictions and distance. Some family members have yet to meet her in person. I use lots of nicknames for my daughter, mainly Bubble, Poppet, or a shortened version of her name. Think Izzy if her name was Isabel, but occasionally use terms of endearment such as sweetheart, my darling, or my love. While on the video chat, my sister asked me not to use my love as her new boyfriend calls her that. She's been talking to him for about a month and is now apparently moving in next week. I apologized and said I wouldn't use it around her, thinking this was reasonable. She said no, I had to never use it again. I wasn't allowed to call my daughter that, and she found it extremely inappropriate as it really should just be used in a romantic setting. This confused me and I refused. I said I could call my daughter whatever I pleased and I would simply avoid using the term in front of her. She got very defensive and went on to insult my parenting skills. Here is where I may be the asshole. I told her just because her new guy couldn't remember her name enough to use it, and chances are none of us would put the effort into learning his, it doesn't mean I need to change what I call my daughter. She flipped out and left the call. Some family members are on my side. Some say I was too harsh. So, am I the asshole in this? Am I the asshole for telling my mom she must have had no self-respect to marry my dad? Some context. My 16 female high school has an annual fall dance. Not last year for COVID reasons, but it's back on this year with COVID restrictions, of course. And it's been unseasonably warm this season. Thanks, global warming. So a lot of the dance will be taking place outside. Anyway, the boys are supposed to ask the girls, And yesterday at lunch, a boy asked me and I agreed to go with him. My dad has always been a traditional kind of guy when it comes to me and my younger sister, 14 female. So last night at dinner, I mentioned that I had a date for the dance, and he made a crack about answering the door with his shotgun. The thing is, I'm pretty sure he would do it. I told him that if he was going to be like that, I'd just meet up with our friend group at school. Then he got very serious and told me in an angry tone that he didn't want me sneaking around with some guy without his knowledge. He asked me what I even knew about this guy. He then said he didn't want me to turn into one of those quote unquote slutty girls who gives it all the way to the first guy they meet and who no self-respecting man would ever want to marry. That's when I flipped a switch. I like to think I'm a pretty good kid. I get good grades, I play volleyball, I help my sister with her homework and drive her to her soccer practice. I've never had a boyfriend, so being talked to like I was some love-struck idiot who was going to wind up pregnant because I'm choosing to go to a dance with a friend really annoyed me. Also, I know a bit about my dad's history. He was in a frat in college, and he's told stories to my cousin, 18 male, who recently started college at a big state school where frat culture is a big thing. So I told him that A, this guy is my friend and he seems nice, but if he turns out to be a dick, I'll figure it out. B, only agreed to go to a dance. The last time I checked, going to a dance was not a binding sexual contract. And here's where I may have crossed the line. I told him that I knew he was in a frat in college, and I know what goes on in those places. I also know the stories he's told my cousin. So, in the heat of the moment, I said something along the lines of, by your own logic, the only slut in the family is you. Then I looked at my mom and said, you must have had no self-respect to have married him. By the looks on both of their faces, I could tell what I said was hurtful. And then, of course, I got yelled at, and I probably won't be able to go to the dance at all. But I feel like it's unfair for him to give me a lecture about slutty behavior and self-worth when he's recently been bragging to my male cousin about doing much worse things when he was just a few years older than me. But maybe I crossed the line trying to prove my point. Am I the asshole? Update. Oh God, oh F, oh God, oh F. I did it. I came out and I did it out of spite. I picked a whole goddamn bouquet of whoopsie daisies. To be clear, I know I said in the comments that I wasn't sure if I was into guys, but that's kind of because I figured I should experiment with men out of obligation before deciding about my sexuality. But the more my dad talked about the whole pregnancy thing last night, and the more I thought about it, I realized that it's just so far out of the realm of interest. And I've had crushes on girls. Although it's hard to admit to myself, it's not super duper okay in my family. So I took the comments saying I need to apologize to my mom to heart, and I realized you all were right. She didn't deserve that. I made her an omelet and a coffee and brought it to her in bed and sat down with her on the bed so we could talk about what happened. My dad was out of the house. I just explained to her that I said what I did last night out of anger and that I was hurt that all these horrible accusations were being thrown at me when I feel like I've given them no reason to doubt my judgment. I apologized to her how out of line it was for me to attack her when it wasn't her who I was angry at. And that I feel like my dad doesn't really see me as a valuable person because he believes that I'm not smart enough to take my own decisions seriously. And that if I did make a mistake, I wouldn't be worth anything to him or anyone. I cried because it was hurtful. She understood and was starting to talk, but then my dad walked in. Keep in mind, I was still angry at him, and he walked into the whole scene and said something nasty. He saw I was crying and said, "Oh, hormones. Looks like someone's pregnant already." The look on his face said it was a joke, but I hated it. My mind immediately went into mean girl overdrive. Granted, what I did was not smart, but I was done. So I said, "Good news. I don't think me having sex with men and getting pregnant is something you will ever have to worry about." He looked at me. I looked at him. He looked at me. I looked at him. And it clicked. Now, he's out for a drive and the whole house has been quiet. And I am hiding in my room. Oops.